Brunswick County tonight approved a new development proposal, but not everyone is happy about it. The County Planning Board approved Project Folly Hills, a 146-acre development near Southport that would include 200 single-family homes. Members of the board called it a well-thought-out proposal, but several neighbors spoke out against it, saying the plan overlooks potential congestion on Southport Supply Road, as well as access to emergency services.
What happens when hurricanes come or the nuclear power plant has an emergency? The backup with all the thousands of people who live along 211, plus the tourists coming from Southport and Oak Island, it would just be a major disaster that could occur.
Now, while the planning board did approve the Folly Hills development, the board denied a proposed development for Seaside Road Southwest near Sunset Beach, citing flooding concern.